I used to think that traveling was mostly about seeing places, but over time, I realize I pay more attention to the smaller details than the actual landmark. I think it's more about observing how people move through life. Every place has its own rhythm. Some people speak in hushed tones in cafe, while others gather loudly in food stalls late into the night. And I realize before I understand a place intellectually, I notice the small details about it first. Hi, I'm Maya, a scientist artist documenting how our experiences, environments shape the way we see, think, and create. When I arrive somewhere new, there's always a few things I notice almost instantaneously. First, the rhythm of the place, how quickly the people move, whether they linger or rush through things. You can usually feel this as soon as you take a walk around the block, and I try to do this as soon as I'm settled in my hotel. Some places feel rushed, while others are more patient. Some places feel like everyone's just rushing through to get to a place as quickly as possible, while others leave the time of the day to just pause. Second, I notice how the locals treat strangers. Not perfectly, of course, because some places are more complicated than the stereotypes, but the small gestures stay with me a lot. I visited South Korea a few years ago for a molecular biology conference, and I didn't speak a word of Korean aside from hello and goodbye and thank you and sorry and excuse me. And very few people spoke English, especially in Jeju Island, where the conference was held. But I felt taken care of and held in a strange place. And Uni noticed that I was freezing because I wasn't dressed warmly enough for the first day of winter, and because she didn't speak a word of English, she practically just pulled me under a heater without saying much at all. She just rubbed my arms and gave me a big smile, and then she seemed pleased that I was warm. In Paris, my concierge, who did not speak English, walked half an hour in the rain to find me adapters because I came completely unprepared for European sockets. And now I still carry that set of adapter everywhere. I think kindness becomes more visible when you're far from home, because when you're traveling, you're literally at the mercy of strangers. Third, I notice what people choose to take care of. The plants that they grow outside their windows, or the tiny shrines that they build, the objects hanging on their bags, or how they arrange cafes, things that people repair instead of replace. And I think what people take care of reveals a lot about their values. And once you pay attention to these details, the world seems more personal, less abstract, and more universal. Fourth, I notice the sounds, not just whether a place is loud or quiet, but the texture of the noises that I hear, while others feel layered in a soft, gentle way. Even now, when I arrive somewhere, I still try to figure out how long I can go on for a walk without the place exhausting me. And I find that however busy or loud a city is, you can still find quiet corners where you can just recharge and gather yourself before embarking on another few hours of adventure. And finally, I notice the small things that people leave behind or hand to one another, like business cards or keychains, postcards, or pens. Little objects carry memory. The waitress I met in Singapore gave me a keychain because she served me coffee every morning that I was there and thought my handwriting was pretty. She said I always look so peaceful whenever I sit on my desk, and I still keep it. I had a conversation with a bright young man, maybe for just a couple of hours, and before I left the US, he gave me a challenge coin, something that used to live in his pocket. And because of this memento, I'll always remember fragments of that evening and that conversation. I think I've always loved objects that carry traces of human encounters. They carry a memory differently, probably more accurately than a photo or a video ever could. Someone held them, carried them around, and placed them carefully in my hands. And I think there's something very human and vulnerable about that. As soon as I hold them, they feel less like a souvenir and more like a proof that I was fully there with this person at that moment. I think traveling has changed the way I pay attention to the world. And not just because I see some extraordinary places, but also because moving through unfamiliar places forces me to pay attention to the small details that I would otherwise miss at home. The rhythm of the people, the way someone arranges their flowers outside their window, these things just become backgrounds when you're in your home city or your hometown. The sounds of a city late at night, the small kindnesses between two strangers who may never meet again. And maybe that's all I'm really trying to do, to notice the small things that would otherwise be forgotten.